Hello.
Hello, I haven't. What is it?
Okay, guys, you're live. All right, apologies for the delay. We had a technical problem, and so that's why we took the time. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to SA Live, hosted by Sourcing Adda. We're super excited to kickstart this show, and thank you all for joining us. Sorry to keep you guys waiting again. Follow and use hashtag SA Live for tweets, and also please feel free to post your questions at hashtag SA Live, and our panelists will be very excited to answer them at the end of the show. Well, our topic for today is very interesting.
So go ahead, Jasmine.
I think you are mute.
New age of talent acquisition. And so today what we would discuss is what are the things agencies are doing differently as compared to corporates and vice versa, and what the methods RPOs and agencies are adapting to be a part of the talent war. So let's find out from our experts in the panel. And coming to our panelists, we have an amazing team of panel members who joined us today to share their views and insights on this discussion. Without further ado, let me introduce our panelists. So we have Masood Sayed, who is the director at Talent Budget. His expertise lies in global sourcing, recruitment technology, and process engineering. Masood, can you give us a brief intro about yourself?
Hi, guys. This is Masood here. Uh, I operate a firm called Talent Pandits. We are a recruitment agency. Uh, Primarily a hardcore sourcer, and I prefer to be called that. So I am passionate about sourcing and recruitment, and hopefully will ever be.
Okay. Next, we have Rajendra Rawat, who is a general manager HR at WNS. He's an outstanding recruitment leader with profound knowledge and networking capabilities. Rajendra, can you give a little brief about yourself to our audience?
Yeah. So I'm currently working with WNS, heading lateral leadership hiring for WNS globally. I'm in recruitment for last 16, 17 years and very passionate about recruitment, So I never tried any other option like RMG or HR. So this is the area I would like to be, till I end my career.
All right. Thank you, Rajendra. Then we have Shri Krishnan Anand Narayanan. We call him Shri. He's a director, developer relations at Maker, and he's a talent acquisition leader with 12 years of experience in recruitment. Shri, can you give us a brief?
All right. So, yeah, to avoid a tongue twister, I should be called Sri. Apart from that, I am a techie who turned into a sales guy, who turned into a recruitment guy, who again turned into a techie. So I have a full, full circle of this experience, which I would love to share with you people. Um, yeah, as she mentioned, I currently head a double hat. One as director of developer relations at Waymaker, and the other one as the director of strategic parent company of Waymaker. That's what I do for a living.
Okay. Next, we have Arunava Mukherjee. He's a senior HR at Theatre.
Hey, hi guys. This is Arunava, and I've been working in theatre for almost 2.5 years. I got around 10.5 years of experience, thoroughly and totally into recruitment, nothing else. And yes, maybe I know only one word, that is recruitment. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle, she's a talent acquisition manager at HR Coffee Day Group. She handles mid to top management and leadership hiring. Michelle, can you please give us a brief intro?
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Shaika. I lead talent acquisition for Corporate Group. About a decade's experience. Once a recruiter, always a recruiter. Thank you.
Okay. So great. Thank you all for joining us, and let's start. So we all know what the topic is for today, all right? And I would like to understand how important is the role of agencies, and do corporates actually need the support of recruitment agencies? So Masood, can you start off?
See, being a director at a recruitment agency, I would say it's absolutely critical. It is required, but this is a question which I hopefully believe that the corporate should be answering, because putting words in the mouth is not right. And we can put a point of view, but I would prefer if uh, Arunava or Rajendra or Michelle could answer that first.
Okay, so
Okay.
Arnav
Yeah.
or Rajendra, one of you.
Yeah, so I think recruitment agencies are for me it's a brand ambassadors or ambassadors who are working out of the organization. They are the extended arm of a recruitment function for the organization. So it's very important to have a recruitment agencies. I mean most of the organization has a certain percentage. We have to have outsource. I mean for whatever organization I work with, Patni Center or current. So we have at least 20% hiring should come from a vendor overall across organization. But in certain areas, it went around 80%, depend on the kind of skills we are hiring. So it's very important to have recruitment agencies on board, and they are a very important part of the organizations.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
Michelle, please go ahead.
okay, thanks, Masood. Uh, with about 10 years of experience, as I said that, about 7 years, I worked with a recruitment agency of the table. So I think I've seen both the sides of it. And I think recruitment agencies play a very, very critical role in helping the corporates, hire the right talent at the right time.
So I fully agree with you all guys, and basically in my life I have not seen any corporates have not used a recruitment agency. I think that says the all. So I think 90 to 95% of the corporates have used or using recruitment agencies across the technologies.
Well said, Arunava. I do agree to that. And Shri, what do you have to say to that?
Well, they have said it all. I'm left with very few words. I would probably second or probably third or fourth all the gentlemen and lady who spoke before I did. Yes, recruitment agencies are very important, and I definitely have reasons for that. I will answer that at an appropriate time and question.
All right, great. So coming back to our next question, which is what are the functions corporates can do and agencies can't, and vice versa? Like for example, we do have a lot of RPOs or recruitment consultancies that can carry on functions like headhunting or market mapping or different processes. And there are some that corporates do as well, but both of them do not do it. So what are your views on that? And can you highlight few functions as such?
Jasmine, I think you're already answering the question.
So I think,
All right.
as per my view, corporates, what corporates can do and what agencies can do. Corporates can do good branding, offer salary negotiations, your candidate experience, which is very important, crucial. So this is what the corporates can take care. Hiring conversion, so hand holding the candidates of the offer after offer, that's important. What agencies can do, reach out to a passive candidate. I mean, a lot of time candidates are not comfortable applying to a corporates directly. In that case, they approach a vendor and a consultancy, and they can approach organization and sell the profile at a right way. I mean, these are the two things. Again, a market intelligence is the one area where corporates are expecting a lot of help from the agency. So these are the things which agencies can do. and obviously hiring trends from the competitors because they interact with a lot of the organizations. So these are the things which agencies can do, and corporate are, I mean, they have limitations there.
See, Masood here, I understand we all agreed the fact that users of agencies is critical. But my question to the panel essentially is that then why the focus on internal sourcing teams? If agencies can do all the work, why focus on intern? Why there is a, I believe a lot of companies will have their KPIs or recruitment managers will be focusing on reducing agency spend. If they're so critical, they're so important, they're so good, why focus or have any such an idea of reducing recruitment spend on agencies?
Okay, I will take it on, Masood. Fundamentally, as a person who heads the recruitment function, and I've done it for multiple organizations, I go by four golden principles or rules which we can call. Okay, first is basically a recruitment in-house recruitment team will go to an agency on four counts. Number one is that they are short of bandwidth. Okay. Number two, I'd rather know if you want me to elaborate on bandwidth, if you're going for a drive or you want to have maximum channels of sources, you can go for recruitment agency. Two is that you have a time bound or a contract based hiring, which is on demand, which is like, you need a position which per se is needed only for a specific time. There's no point in you going the normal way, right? Third one is niche competency. I say niche competency. I'm sure though you have able recruiters within the corporate team, they cannot possibly dial in a headhunt, right? It is ethically not so comfortable for a lot of organizations. Possibly also be special areas, right? For example, I'll tell you what, as a services organization, they would probably get multiple requirements coming up from their clients. Now, typical recruiters who are hiring for the generic skills might probably be baffled if somebody is going to ask for a guy who has worked on Scala or deep sea drilling. Areas which go beyond the comprehension of a standard recruiter within an organization. Areas like that, we can definitely take specialists of organizations or recruitment agencies which do specialization there. And the fourth important thing is basically on discrete search, where you want to do a search which probably might not be ideal on the management's part to give it to somebody who is within the organization, or possibly search for a recruitment head or a replacement of a person, right? Things like these. These four golden rules would definitely be applied if you are actually looking to engage a third party or an external recruitment agency. This is what my fundamental take is. The rest, everything else is secondary for me.
I think those are very, very, very good points, Sri, and that's where I also believe that agency should be sought after in terms of primarily bandwidth, technical level of difficulty, that is the best usage of your resources. So, and a discrete search. So that's fairly right. What then? Why can't we look at agencies towards being specialized in a particular area, and you try and use multiple agencies based on the area of expertise? Or is it, let's say, I want to hire a particular skill set, so you use an agency only for that skill set, and keep them with those exclusive requirements for that skill set? Why not? Why is it there is a reluctance to give exclusive requirements?
Okay.
No,
Yeah, go ahead, Rajendra.
no. So I think most of the organization, if you see large organizations, they have location-wise vendors, skill-wise vendors. So what you said is absolutely right. When you have a requirement in a particular vertical, particular skill, that will go to the defined vendors. If you're hiring for ERP skill, there are defined vendor for the ERP skill. If you're hiring for a voice, there are vendors who are only working on voice requirement. There are vendors who are working only on the vanilla on a flat rates. So we have a bifurcation done as per the skill, and if you go for a startup or a mid-sized organization, these are the organizations who will outsource 100% requirement because They want to concentrate on their core business instead of wasting, time and energy in hiring a people. I think there they need expertise or they need 100% help from the agencies. And these are the two, we have to look at both the things in different, two different directions, and then only will understand why large organization are outsourcing only meet certain requirements, and why a startup outsource entire or 100% requirements to the vendors.
Yeah,
True.
that's so true, Rajendra. Like small startups might be working with outsource everything. This is not our job. Let us focus on what we are good at, and you take over the recruitment.
Yeah.
And the good thing that happens with them essentially is then they hand over control of the entire recruitment process. So we, as agencies, are able to do the best possible jobs for these small startups. So the salaries also are low in that sense, a lot of money. But being able to find candidates and we have assured revenue coming out from them. Now, in case a requirement is open to an agency, do we also have the internal sourcing team working on it? If yes, why?
I missed the question. Can you come
The
again,
question
Masud?
is, if you are outsourcing a particular requirement to an agency, assuming they have got niche skill sets, assuming you've identified the right vendor, then why do you have your internal sourcing team also working on the same requirement?
I think it is more of a generalization which you are doing, Masood. I've worked with agencies, as I told you. I've worked with agencies, and I also have worked with corporates. So people wouldn't want to duplicate the efforts. Number one, if it is a non-exclusive leadership position, I don't think you should be taking it either. Fundamentally, I've worked with organizations like Capital, ABC Consultants, where an exclusive search would have a clause which says that immaterial, now that you have given us the mandate of closing the position, immaterial of the position being closed by you or me, I get the credit, right? Once you have this clause very clearly defined, I think the problem which you are talking about doesn't arise at all.
I agree, Sri. In that case, the problem doesn't arise. But in cases where it is exclusive, but there is no clause per se saying that this mandate belongs to you.
Then it is
Yeah.
not exclusive. The
I
term
think what happened, Masood. So there is always a plan A and plan B. We as a corporate, it's a mandatory for us to staff that positions in a particular period of time. So when we outsource this requirement to the vendor, we see what is the lineup you are doing, what is the conversion ratio after we have the first lineup done, and basis on that, if we think it's not going to work, we have to have an internal team working because we are the people who are answerable to our internal stakeholders. So in that case, we have to take that decision to ask your team to work on it, or maybe a plan B to release an advertisement in the newspaper, or putting out on a job portal. So these are the decisions you have to take basis on the requirement and the urgency.
I completely agree, Rajendra. And I've been fortunate enough to work with certain clients who, on paper, don't have an exclusive clause, but there are certain skills which come to us, and we make sure that we have enough of a pipeline. And if we don't have a pipeline on that, then they either have it with either roll it out to other agencies or have the internal teams also supporting it. So I completely agree. That's the right way of doing it. But I am also facing clients where it's the other way around, where I have a good pipeline and candidates are not being interviewed. But when we talk to candidates, we realize they're just being spoken to by an internal source.
right.
That creates a concern for me.
So I think it is a loose clause which you need to address, Masood. And coming to Rajendra's point, I think as much as you have spoken about an ideal situation, I see the popular belief is that the internal team works on a mandate first and then gives it out to agencies if it's not working.
True, Sri. I agree on that. Yes, it's a mandate, Masood.
Agreed. Agreed or no?
All right. Yeah, I'm coming back to you, Arunava. You wanted to add something to that?
No, whatever Sri was saying, that it's a really a mandate to work along with the recruitment agencies, and of course, the bigger chunk is cost, and that we cannot skip that at the end. So whosoever is finding it uh, rings the bell and goes for it. So that's what.
Vishal, would you like to say to
I
that?
think that happens more on a generic skills, but when you have niche requirements, the corporates tend to give some time to the agencies and try and understand as to how they are sourcing and what kind of pipeline they have.
All right, which brings me to our next question. When do corporates outsource to recruitment agencies?
Yeah, I think she answered that
Shri
just a while
answered.
back.
Shri answered that very.
That's very well, very like,
Yeah, yeah.
and what was added later was fine. Like even Rajendra added one point to that, so out of that, I think that answers it.
All right, fine. So, what are the challenges agencies face by corporates?
Agencies face?
By corporates.
From corporates rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Masood, over to you.
No, 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 my dear friend, like see, challenges are there across the board. Even the corporates have challenges. Even agencies have challenges. I think what I would prefer to talk about essentially is that what are the areas that we could do better from
Right.
both sides to make the engagement work. According to me, the relationship between an agency and corporate is at two levels. One is at the strategic level, second is at the operational level. At the strategic level, you decide what kind of requirements to be open, when to be open, how much time you require, what are the SLAs, KPIs, that gets established. And second is when we talk to the recruiter who's actually working with us, uh, that relationship building becomes key because essentially it is the pain of that individual that we are trying to resolve while we are trying to cover the strategic issue. End of the day, it is one individual's pain that is getting resolved if the agency works in a much more appropriate fashion. Uh, Things that work out better after that relationship is, and those are the challenges that get encountered, that get overcome. One of the biggest challenges is communication, understanding what is required, and if the relationship is good, the recruiter spends a little more time trying to explain that this is what I need. It becomes easier for the agency to source and find that person. Then that openness, okay, fine. If not this, what? So if the agency can present the candidate scenario to the recruiter, on the other side, it helps them also to kind of take a call and dilute the requirement if required. So communication for me is the biggest challenge. It is on both sides. I won't say it is from the corporate side. If that is resolved along with a good relationship and rapport established, things move smooth.
Right, one of the fundamental pillars of winning, or rather, no, one of the fundamental pillars, if you ask me, in terms of building up the relationship with the recruitment team, is that you need to somehow make the recruitment team understand that you are not a competition, but you are complementary to their function. It is quintessential for them to understand that hey, we both are on the same team, right? At the end of the day, we are trying to solve a common problem, the need for quality talent in your organization, right? It is not that you're losing to me. Is that either you or me, somehow, one or other, we will close the position. I think if we can possibly articulate this value proposition to the recruitment team or the recruiter while you are building the rapport, I think that is when you are going to be getting into a very winning situation. Otherwise, any
Uh,
other
we could not hear your last couple of sentences. If you could care to please repeat.
Right. What I was trying to say is that no, somehow you need to articulate the fact that you both are on the same team and you guys are trying to solve the same trouble for the organization. While he is doing it, while the recruiter is trying to do it sitting inside the organization, you are trying to solve the same problem sitting outside the organization.
Very true. Very true.
So once you establish this fact that no, you are a complementary function to that team, I think that is the first step towards building the rapport and a winning relationship there.
True.
And trust me, everything I say is something which I've done, and I'm not trying to say something which I've not seen.
All right, thanks, Shri. Rajendra, would you like to add on to that?
Well, the challenges part, I think there should be a partnership approach, at both the ends, again, the communication is a very important aspect, like most of the times, all the slow moving requirements or requirements which are going on a hold, there is no right communication going from a corporate to agencies, and they are facing a problem that time. So they are working on requirement and expecting a feedback because they are working on a target monthly, quarterly, and again, a small organization, they are very revenue driven, very conscious about the revenue targets they have. So there should be a collaborative and a partnership approach from both the ends. I think that's what my take, on this.
Thank you. Arunava, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree with Masood on this as well because it's always a two-way communication, and sometimes it really works, and sometimes we have personally felt it that it never works because maybe due to a lot of reason out there. So yes, communication is key, and also a relation, of course. I To give my example, I personally share very good relation with lot of recruitment agencies, and they are really doing good also whenever it comes because the basic information starts from the corporates to the agency, and if it is not properly communicated, then it's a challenging work for the recruitment agency as well.
Very
And
true.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's over from my side.
The sec-
Yeah, sorry, Masood, are you trying to say
yeah,
something?
the second challenge, which possibly is not really in anybody's hand to an extent, or maybe is the is in some companies may not have the systems in place. That may lead to chaos and confusion. For example, if there is no way of storing candidates or tracking candidates apart from Excel sheet, then it leads to a situation which can create conflicts in terms of whose candidate is which. Now, one different companies have different ways of resolving it. One is whichever candidate writes whichever agency's name on the form when he comes to the office is done. That's a neat way, so there is no confusion after that. Or some companies, one moment you submit the resume, will come back with saying it's a duplicate. But there is a chance, and there is a decent amount of chance of still some candidates getting not getting the right source attached to them or tracked to them, because there is no actual system in place in terms of, let's say, a tracking system or any kind of a way in which we can essentially uh, track whatever inflow of resumes are coming in to the corporate. So is that something that from your side you've also felt as a corporate that yes, there's something that that has helped us having a system, or is creating a problem if we don't have a system?
Of course, I think I'll take the question and try to answer it. I have seen it from both the sides, and interestingly, I have seen people who have gone the extra mile to accommodate a profile that is sent by you and see to it that it is being processed. And I've seen also organizations while I was a consultant where people wouldn't even have spoken to candidates and they still have them in their database. So the typical answer you get from the HR team or the recruitment team is that, hey, we have this guy on our database and that we were about to talk to him. Now, I don't know how much of help is that going to be, right? And it is a big put off to a recruiter who has been, struggling hard, sweating and burning the midnight lamp to get that particular profile, right? So yes, without technology or without a way or a modus operandi wherein you can track who is the genuine source or the first source, there is a problem.
Sri, we lost you.
Okay, so I was trying to say, yes, it is a big problem if you don't have a system to track who sent it first. Lost me again?
Yes.
Oh my mind. All right, I think you should pass it on to somebody else.
Michelle, would you like to add something to it?
Uh, I have not seen it from the corporate side of it, how it's issued, but my previous, experience being on the consultant side, I've always seen that, when a recruiter is issuing a profile and the corporate, duplication from the other side, other agencies, or they have in database. But I think it's high time the corporates should get aligned and have some basic systems in place to track the resumes, and if they have not spoken to the candidate, if the resume is just lying in their database, I think the credit goes to the recruiter, the agency which is helping them out.
I think if you see big organizations, most organizations have their online tool, where you have to submit profile online, not send to any of your recruiter. They will flash even the requirement also through a portal only. You need not to send to anyone. The moment you submit the profile, you will get whether this profile is duplicate or not, based on certain, fields, key match. They will match some field and they will immediately show you that this profile is duplicate or not duplicate. I think these are kind of tool. I think, but small companies, I think they have to maintain a tracker, or there are a lot of tools available nowadays in the market which you can have it in a small or a mid-sized company. But in most of the bigger companies, large organizations, they have the online tool for it.
Thank you, Rajendra. Well, we do understand that corporates and agencies have gaps, and to bridge the gap, the most important thing is communication. My next question is, can they work together? I do understand the fact that we are working together, but we still do have a lot of gaps. So, how do we smoothen it?
Yeah, I'll take this question. Yes, we there are a lot of gaps, and corporates as well as agencies. But at the end of the day, as I told you, they are the extended arm of a recruitment team for a corporates. So there are gaps, but what we do as an organization, there is a periodic feedback which is going to our vendors. A, B, we have annual awards for the vendors. There's a periodic vendor meet, with a different set of vendors. I mean, based on the skill or vertical wise, we share with them, what is that our organization is looking out for, where our organization is going towards, what is our yearly plan, what we expect
Brother,
year next year. So basis on that, what vendors are doing, vendors are trying to help us, where we are going towards and how they can help us to go to achieve that target. I mean, this is more of a partnership, So, at the end of year, when we say, this is what we already briefed you, we are expecting a ramp in this area. The moment agency see the profile in the data, they say, yes, these are the target profile for X organization. So I should keep him warm, if not this time, maybe a next month or a next week I can process it. So this is the collaborative, approach both should have, and then only you will see, we are working together in the right way.
Okay, I would like to add. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, so we were just talking about communication, right? So we spoke about the first part of the communication, where the corporates need to communicate to their, the recruitment arm, the agency which are outside. But I feel at the same time, recruitment agency also needs to communicate to the corporates at the same time. Keep them informed and updated on the mandates that they're working on. Which are the candidates they're talking to, what is the process, or where are they in terms of the progress of the mandate. I have seen a lot of time you given a mandate to a recruitment agency. If they are unable to source the kind of profiles that we want, with the specifications, until unless we don't go back, they don't come back and tell us, what are the concerns for, or if we don't follow up, they kind of loosen on their requirements. So a communication has to be from both sides. So recruitment agency also needs to take that initiative and the entire responsibility of making sure that they're working with the corporate and interested in closing the position.
I agree, Michelle. Communication has to be from both the ends. Arunava, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, so when we say about the communication, we have agreed about the communication part, but I think also the mode is important. It's not always phone call is okay or email is okay, but at least email communication about what they are doing in terms of when the position is being shared to the recruitment agencies, what they are doing, what they are up to. If that kind of notification also comes in on and off, then also people are fine. I mean, calls is good, but what happens when recruitment team is in sheer pressure? They may not be able to answer sometimes the calls as well because of the sheer pressure from everywhere. But again, if some email is going on when it comes to the communication part, that's also it's absolutely great. But we see a lot of time it's not that they are not sending the communication or they are not sending an email. It's also we are not as an organization or as a corporate sometime miss to set the email. So that is one gap I also personally feel corporate as well as recruitment agency should work together. So that is one thing.
Thanks. Well, I did see Shri nodding his head when he said that even we are not sending in emails or trying to communicate. So, Shri, can you add on to that?
Well, yeah, I think, yeah, as I spoke earlier, most of the points have been already covered. Hello, am I
Yeah,
audible?
Yes, Shri, you keep coming in and out. So,
All right, so I think, yeah, I mean, I would second everybody. They have already spoken what needs to be underlined, and I go with them.
all right, great. So we do have questions coming up, and Shri, we have a question for you from Sharath, and the question is, how can the credit go to the agency if the in-house team closes a position?
Okay, I would say there are a lot of interesting engagement drafts. So I see that Sharad possibly has not worked on specific engagements which gives you the exclusive rights over credit, right? So this is basically typically a search assignment or a search organization which drafts clauses to protect its.
Shri, we are losing you.
straight. I'll take that straight.
I think what Sri wanted to say is, unless it's a search assignment, credit will not go to agencies. What happened? When you give a search assignment, you have to pay upfront to the agencies search firm, whether you hire people from search firm or whether you don't hire people from search firm. In that case, credit will go to agencies despite the internal team is closing the position. That's what I think she wanted to tell.
Yeah, that's right. More or less the same, right? So it is your ability to draft clause and implement the same. And there's no harm in it. And there's no harm in it because you have your consultant working on a position. He is investing his or her time, and it is only fair on the organization's part. One, either they shouldn't have given to the employer to the search firm, or even if they give, they should have not asked their internal team to be doing it. So, it goes that way.
Sometimes what happens is that if you give an exclusive mandate to an agency, you're assuming that you have kept the entire onus of closing to the agency. Now, the agency's role doesn't have to be go on portals and find resumes.
No.
They have to create a long list, map the industry, find out people, present candidates, qualify them in a particular fashion, and present them. Sometimes what may happen is there might be somebody, a candidate who is directly applied to the company or has come through a referral. And in most of these cases, the internal sourcing team is not working on it. It is by chance that a candidate pops up, that a candidate pops up, or somebody who has applied earlier with the corporate who ends up getting selected. I haven't come across a situation where an internal sourcing team has worked after giving it exclusive to an agency.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys spoke about it some time back,
Yeah.
didn't you? All right. So, no, in middle of that, I come from that background where, my time is money, okay? And I cannot take people saying me that, hey, you know what? We managed to close it internally. No, that is not what I want to be doing. Definitely not. And I will not appreciate it, nor do I want to work with those clients.
This typically will happen only with senior mandates.
Well, that is the area where I typically work in. But yeah, I think we should extend that. Otherwise, you should not be giving it.
All right. So we have another question from No Jargon community member. Any thoughts on the issue of the duplicate resume question? And this one is for free. This question is open to anyone.
I think on the duplicate resume we discussed a while ago, from the corporate side, we need to have strong channel in terms of figuring out as to or a track in terms of where the resumes are coming from. And I've also seen in the past that at some point of time, corporates are unable to figure out, or it's a where the profile has come with. There are companies who have paid both consultants, 50%, of the invoice amount.
My take on duplicate resume essentially, Michelle, is that there are two scenarios. One is where there is a system, one is where there is no system, or it's Excel sheet. And when I say no system, I don't mean there is no application which is tracking the date, the time, the source, the user. If that is there, then I think duplicate resumes is not that big an issue unless somebody is trying to play with the system, and those people get find out eventually and are dealt with. The second situation where there is no system and it's primarily Excel based, it is more about individuals. And in a situation, it is more about that individual's what he ends up doing with the risk. So they have to be simpler norms. Whenever you send a resume across, for example, one company has said that whoever fills the application comes for the interview, that's his candidate, no matter who it is, no matter whom you spoke. So I don't see much of a solution in that scenario. It's more based on judgment and prudence. So ideal solution is to get a system in place, create rules, have rules common for everyone, and that should solve it.
But I want to quote Rajendra. He did mention that it is not a viable solution for a lot of small and mid-sized organizations. Of course, you have your Navios, you have your other systems in place which would throw out.
Sri, you lost you. Sri, you can put in the chat message. I can. One of us can read it out.
I'll pass the question.
Like my voice to your words.
I think then every recruiter, every organization uses a basic email application, right? An Outlook of these email applications. That's the base point where it can help a recruiter to figure out the duplication.
Not quite, Michelle. I beg to differ. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I beg to differ because a classical example, and it happened some time back, wherein any profile that my teammates used to send to this particular client would have already been there, submitted by somebody else.
We lost you.
Can you hear me now?
I could hear you, Shri.
So you can put the chat message in.
I'm too lazy to type. No, I was just trying to say, can you hear me?
Yes, now, yeah.
All right, I was trying to say, the timestamp will not help, especially given the fact that anybody can send a profile to the client, right? Have they validated the profile? Have they interest checked the profile? All right. Hang on.
Hello.
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 Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's important that we understand who reached out to the candidate first, and there's no silver bullet answer for this.
So I think if a duplicate, I have one more suggestion. What happened? Many times you as a corporate outsource requirement, and I mean, little harsh, on an agency's front, but at a senior level, they dump the profiles. You have a requirement, you don't have a requirement, and they dump the profiles. And senior level mandates, you have limited people available in the market. Some point of time, anyway, you have some requirement, you close that guy. That time, again, you have a fight between your agency and a corporate. So I think the profile dumping is, whether you call it duplicate, what you call, I don't know, So this may be a debatable topic now. But
True. I was just trying to explain what the same thing what
Yeah.
Raj just spoke about.
Rajendra, I think that's a very, very important point. If any agency is just dumping profiles, hoping in future that the system will catch up at 6 months old and they will get paid for it,
right,
and then I think that vendor partner should not be there with. So it's a matter of selection of the vendor partner. They said there are people. Uh, Wherever people are involved, there has to be discretion. So if you work with a vendor partner, he'll never dump profiles with you. Or if there is somebody who's dumping profile, he should not be in the system at all.
Well, thanks, Masood and Shri and Rajendra for that. And we have time to take one more question, and that is, can agencies be more creative, or do they have restrictions for things like gamifications? If yes, then how can we be creative?
All right, this is pretty close to my heart kind of a story. This happened over, pub, a beer pub. Me and my fellow recruiter and I, we were sitting and we were actually feeling sad about a couple of events that kind of potential bills. One of the fundamental things which we thought about was having something called Bosky Supari. I think Masood so that I don't think somebody would have come better thing than that. I'll tell you the funda. It's like this, okay? So everybody, the statistics say that 84% of Indian working population hate their bosses. I don't know for whatever reasons they are, right? But then bosses are bosses because they are good in something, good at something, right? So here's what it is. We thought of coming up with this lead generation site wherein, so let's assume that I am trying to hire somebody with, Java and investment banking expertise, right? And you typically find them in, say, JP Morgan or some bank. I shoot a mail to people who are not actually looking out. They are not my candidates, but then I can always ask for somebody with Java expertise. And if that happens to be the guy's boss, he would happily refer it to us, right? So you actually pay to somebody to refer you candidates who are not actually looking out for a job. By that way, we get a deal, right? We get a lead, he's doing that position. The guy gets happy because the boss is going out, and the boss is happy because he's getting a good job.
Well, that's a great one, Shri. Masood, would you like to add to that?
See, I think the Rajendra initially brought this topic up in terms of when we decided why corporates, why recruitment agencies. There are certain things which a corporate can do internally and can be a lot more creative about. Primarily, the gamification piece of referrals, or for that matter, of kind of creating a, um, uh, a candidate experience, which will kind of help them acquire more candidates. Uh, from the agency point of view, it depends on the kind of mandate that they have to work on, the number of mandates, and the kind of engagement they are in. Definitely, they have a wider landscape in terms of being able to reach out to candidates using the phone, which generally corporates, as Sri initially pointed out, may find not ethical. That's a headhunting piece of it, where the agencies can be a lot more creative. Thirdly, the agency have the advantage of being able to submit a same candidate to multiple corporates as and when the requirement arises. So they can actually be consultants to the candidates. Right now we are consultants to corporates. They can actually be consultants to candidates and help them find a job, be with them throughout their career. That's how earlier recruitment used to happen when recruiters would be hired on basis of how many candidates you have on your Excel sheet. That was the relationship. And I think, Sri, with your ABC days, you might just remember it. So being in touch with the candidate, being able to provide multiple options to a to a candidate, the agencies can be a lot more creative about. Using the phone, definitely, the canvas is far much large than speaking than we can speak over here. We can do a lot more. Being able to understand the market, the industries, the fact that we work with multiple companies gives us a flair of which candidate likes what, where does he move. So intelligence piece again is something which a agency can do much better. Can also do. I'm not saying they can do much better because in Capgemini when we were there, I think the best of MIs were produced there, being a corporate. So there is no reason why a corporate cannot do an MI. We've done that quite well within the corporate.
All right, thanks for that. Well, Michelle, can you take this question? What are some of the innovative practices of recruiting done by agencies different from corporate talent acquisition departments?
Can you repeat that, Jasmine? Sorry.
What are some of the innovative practices of recruiting done by agencies different from corporate or talent acquisition departments?
Uh, Things that an agency does it differently. I mean, a couple of things that Masood just added, but I would like to just add one more point. Very important it is the candidates whom we have already placed. These candidates play a larger role, to a recruiter, to an agency. Because they've already had that experience of getting. So giving them references and giving them more leads.
Okay. Shri, can you add to that?
Nothing much.
Masood?
Arunava hasn't spoken on this.
About innovative practices you are talking?
Yeah, innovative practices, Arunava.
Practices of recruitment done by agencies.
So
Not much.
I would like to give a very good example. I mean, not related with innovative practices. I mean, many one of my reportee in a earlier organization. Many times used to hire very niche skill. What happened? Every time you used to go for a meeting, the guy used to ask, "What is that innovatively you are doing? What is that new thing you are doing?" So these guys say, "I'm doing referral, I'm doing X, I'm doing Y." This guy has done a very beautiful thing. I think no one can think on that. He has printed on a T-shirt, looking out for a VC++ resources. Please send your profile, on X address, and ask his small kid to wear that T-shirt and ran in the mall, and he has done a shooting out of it. So next time he went to a meeting, the delivery guy said, "What is that you're doing differently? Tell me the new initiative." He said, "Yes, there in the next slide." He showed that video. My son is, running across the mall, and this is what the VC plus was. He said, "One more slide I have. One more slide I have. So one more thing I have done. There are person who is very niche and joining next week. So I have this is 100 rupees perchi for an ex god, and I have asked him if this guy will join. I will give 100 rupees more to the god. These are different two things I have an initiative for this. Two people.
Third initiative can also be if he would be a probable dropout, then we can reach out to his home as well.
Thanks for sharing that, Rajendra.
Yeah.
All right, we have one more question, and that's how are the agencies using social media?
I think this is a debate in itself. I don't think we can just contain it within this in this next 5 minutes. I think we should have this as a topic first.
All right, sure. We will consider this as another topic. So should we take one last question before we come to the end? And that is, retain search model. Does it provide a better platform to create a partnership that would benefit both the agency and the client?
Yeah. Obviously, yes. Return search for very senior level mandates normally we give it to search firms, a leading search firm. So it create. I mean, vendors are positioning that profile properly in front of the organizations. Many times, as I told you, uh, candidates are not easily saying yes. These are the agency who understand profile correctly, understand what is the expectations of the candidate, what is that career path this guy is looking at, or whether this guy will fit for the organization, and based on that he will position the profile. So I think the search firm is very well work. This will work only for the senior mandate, but that's the only thing, or a niche skill.
No, I have a different take on this. While I agree with Rajendra that for retained search, executive senior level requirements ideal should be worked, but I see no reason why a retained search cannot be given at different levels. It could actually be a win-win for both parties. Remember, what we are promising is confirmed business to the agency, and what the agency can give you in return is a much lower rate. Now, I understand we went for a bid for one company where they asked for a very sliced rate, but promised that all these requirements you have to close. These are the SLAs. Do you want to sign on? So it is a win-win for both. Both the agency gets a confirmed kind of a revenue model, and it is willing to slice rates for it. So the same effort is going to yield better results for both parties. Now, the good thing that happens is that none of the bench requirements get rolled up to the agency where, no, I'm not saying bench, prospective requirements, where the requirement does not exist, but the agency is working on it for a very long time, then realize the requirement got cancelled. Those like 60 to 70% of those requirements get slashed. So the yield from the agency will definitely increase. The corporate will earn more, earn a price discount on it. It would be win-win for both, and the kind of trust and faith that's going to build in after the relationship, that relationship is quite huge. So it can be done across all levels. It is a much better model across all levels.
So I have a different take at it. As much as you would say that it is a win-win for both, I personally feel that, or it's a very personal opinion. I have a different take at it because I know what my worth is. My time, if I'm going to invest, I need a specific rate. Anything below that will not work for me.
Sorry, Sri, I didn't get your last sentence. My time.
Now,
Shri, we can't hear you.
I say that it doesn't make sense for me to cut down on the rates just because I'm getting exclusive. It doesn't make sense at all.
It does make a lot of business sense, Sri. We've done the maths and it works out much better. The amount of effort I'm putting in, I'm getting a better yield. See, right now, if I work on 10 requirements, out of which 60% are going to be requirements will get closed without neither I am closing, neither the internal team is closing. So it is
Let me ask
closed
you.
by.
Let me
Yeah, I
ask you
think
this
I'm
question.
agree with what Masood is saying.
No, I agree. On totality, okay, fine. You guys are talking about making sense. But let me ask Masood one question. What about the 11th mandate? What about the 11th requirement? You spoke about 10 requirements. What about the 11th requirement?
Sorry, Sri.
Masood, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was asking you, okay, you are talking about 10 mandates, less rate, I get it exclusive. My question is, what about the 11th mandate? What about the 11th requirement? What will
No,
you
no,
do then?
that's semantics, Sri. It is not about 10 or 11. It's about going for a specific set of mandates out of which I promise closure and I give a discounted rate on it. And
Listen to me.
that works out for me.
It's a very personal opinion, Masud, but the thing is that they are, you need to know what your capability is. And if you think that you are worth so much, I don't think it makes sense for you to lower down your cost.
You breaking up. Can you type it?
Pass.
All right, we have a difference of opinion on this question. I think we'll close out here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, especially to the panelists. It's been a great discussion, and we'll meet next month yet again with another discussion. So stay tuned to Sourcing Adda. Thank you,
Thank you,
guys. Thank you
Jackie.
so much
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice knowing you guys. Thank you. Bye bye.